See, Andy likes D. Gordon, but I think Andy missed it. That Gordon will no longer, very important, be the team's everyday second baseman. Shed Long will take on that role after he bounced around last year during MLB call-ups. So, look, Seattle really wants to establish Long at one position. They'll allow him to gain some comfort playing defense, playing next to J.P. Crawford on a daily basis. He's 24 years old, Shed Long. They got him from Cincinnati. So he could be a pretty interesting late-round pick, very late. He hit 289, 5 doubles, a triple, 4 homers, 10 RBIs in 23 games. What does that mean for D. Gordon? D. Gordon, and Andrew's going to kill me, is going to be a backup in Seattle. Any comments, Andy? Andy? She's not listening. So then, anyway. So how about that? D. Gordon is now a backup. So let's not, you know what I'm saying? All right, let's not go crazy. Now, speaking of going crazy, I made a pick in our American League Only draft, and I don't know what I was thinking. I took Daniel Vogelbach. Now, what's so big deal about that, right? Last year, in his first full season, he made the All-Star team. He was the Mariners. That was a trivia question. Who's the All-Star for the Mariners last year? He led the Mariners with 30 home runs, but he hit only 208. And here's the other thing about Vogelbach. This is why. I don't know why I picked him. He slumped in the second half. He hit only 9 home runs and batted less than 200. He's a left-handed hitter who hit fine against righties, but not so good against lefties. So I will say that he will be platooned as the designated hitter. He will hit against righties, and that'll be it. And then with the trade of Omar Narvaez to Milwaukee and Domingo Santana, they're going to need some power to score enough runs unless they do it with a lot of speed. So now Vogelbach, who's a very popular guy with the fans and the clubhouse, and look, if he has a good spring, he'll be okay. But if he has a chance, he could get cut. And I could see the team splitting up the DH role among several players. So we'll see what happens, okay? We'll see what happens with that. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Anything that you want to throw out there right now? If you do, let me know. All right, now we're going to go through the Seattle team and see where they are, okay? First, I got to find out where I am. Seattle Mariners at first base. Let's take a look at their first base spot. It's going to be first base is going. It just slips my mind. I got to remember. Seattle Mariners. Their first base spot is going to. Oh yeah, Evan White. Now, as I said, Shed Long is going to be the second baseman. J.P. Crawford at short. Kyle Sager at third. Evan White. If you don't know who Evan White is, you got to start paying attention. Okay. Evan White was actually signed for a long. They have so much confidence in Evan White. They actually signed him to I think it was a 4 or 5 year deal. Okay, and here's my projections for Evan White. He's 6'3", 180 pounds. Okay, he signed a long-term deal. How long? I forget how long it was, but he's a right-handed hitter, throws lefty. Now, this guy can hit you 280, maybe with 15 home runs, okay? And he's a quality first base prospect, okay? He's a good athlete. He's a good defender. And he could skiff AAA and open the year in the... By the way, 6-year, $24 million contract. 6-year, they really love this guy. Now, it's very possible that he may, if he gets off to a bad start, you may lose him. We'll see what happens. Shed Long. I'll give you numbers on Shed Long that I predict. He'll hit about 275, 15 homers. Now, not a lot of stolen bases. When he was acquired by Seattle from Cincinnati, he had an impressive spring, went to AAA, spent most of his first half shuttling up and down. He had a sore shoulder, and then he had a fractured finger. And he had 289 in 23 games down the stretch. The only thing that he has some history of stealing bases. He was 16 out of 19 in A-ball, and then he was 19 out of 25 in Double-A. Shed Long will be a very good end-game pick. You got that? Somebody took him in the American League only, and tremendous pick. Don't forget, Arnie will be coming up right after I lose my voice. Okay, shortstop, J.P. Crawford. We all know about Crawford. He's not going to really be a fantasy star. He's a tremendous defensive shortstop, but for fantasy purposes, when he was with the Phillies, there was some who thought he might emerge as a fantasy player. But he's been given enough time, 25. He's only going to hit you about 230, maybe 9 homers. Probably get close to 10 stolen bases, okay? But he is the full-time shortstop. Over at third base, Kyle Seager, I don't know. He is Kyle Seager, and maybe it's because he gets mixed up with his brother, but he is the most, I don't think I've ever mentioned him in a podcast. I don't think I ever mentioned Kyle Seager in a podcast. It's crazy, and there's reasons for it. Okay, he's not that good, but Seager, in my opinion, is. Who likes Kyle Seager? Anybody? A fan of Kyle Seager? I don't see a lot of enthusiasm, but anyway, Kyle Seager. He's now reached the age of 32. He's a 240 hitter. Just hit you over 20 home runs. Not bad. His younger brother Corey is better. He missed time doing an injury. Remember, he had an injury. He injured his hand in spring training, and you didn't see him start the year until late May, all right? And there's always, anytime a player has a hand injury, there's always a little concern. Drinking the Paul Martin coffee. What have happened to Paul Martin? Anybody know? By the way, so anyway, that's the story there with Seager. You know who he is. He's nothing special. Now, here's where we get to the exciting part. Kyle Lewis, Malik Smith, Jake Fraley. Now, with Kyle Lewis, when I saw him in the Arizona Fall League, he made a late start in the Arizona Fall League because he was coming back from an injury. But you draft Kyle Lewis, and you have the possibility of getting a star. And I'm thinking about 275 with over 20 home runs. He's not going to run 6'4", 205. Looks like a ball player. He's a bright spot. Tremendous power in a small sample. He hit 6 homers last year in 40 at-bats. He is, right? And really a tremendous... He was the... Austin Riley we heard about. Orestes Aquino we heard about. Lewis gets called on early September, and we didn't hear a lot about it. 6 homers and 40 at-bats. So everybody knows about Riley. We all know about Aquino, but after that he hit the skids, okay? So we'll see. He was much better than league average in the month of September. The pitching staff, as I told you before, no secret there. Marco Gonzalez, even with the best, he's the only one you can draft. And as the best pitcher, he's still going to give you a 4 ERA, a 1.3 whip, and maybe 150 strikeouts, all right? That's what you're going to get out of him. Now, that's Marco Gonzalez. You're probably not going to get very much out of anybody else, so I really wouldn't draft any of the starting pitchers for the Mariners. The closer for the Mariners, well, we're always looking for that closer. Always looking for that closer. In Seattle, the closer, as I ponder, I really should have thought about this before, but I'm going to tell you that the Mariners, the closer for Seattle, is going to be... let me just think. Anybody want to help me out here? Who's going to be the closer? Oh, I know the closer. It's going to be Matt Magill. Now, they picked up Hirano. Altavilla could be a closer there. But Matt Magill, Magill, actually, in my notes, I was told he's going to get the first shot. Hirano, who they got from Arizona, Altavilla, it's a little open. It's a big battle, but Matt Magill is the guy who I think gets the spot, okay? So etch his name in your kitchen table. I wonder if anybody drafted him in our American League only. There you go. I wonder. That's why I say he may not been in the queue. That's why we say make your own lists. Now, I'll admit, I didn't want to be in that league, okay, because I had just a big day, but no excuse. I didn't find him in the queue, and I forgot about him. Even the legends forget about him. So I will tell you, always make your own lists, okay? Please, don't do what I do. Magill is a pick. Who are the Mariners' prospects? I'll tell you right now, nothing great, but here they are. And don't forget, coming up next will be Arnie, okay? Jarred Kelenic, the kid they got from the Mets, 5-tool potential. He is a perennial all-star. The Mets gave him away. He's got he barrel, jump, and exit velocity, everything. He's got a 60 hit tool. He's got a rocket arm. He's got defensive instincts. He's got great speed. So he has he has intangibles. Tremendous player, Jarred Kelenic. Once again, Evan White. He hit 293 with 18 homers, 2 stolen bases in the minors. He's a 5-tool first baseman, Evan White. Logan Gilbert is a 6'6" righty who touches about 98. He's got 4 pitches and throw strikes. You want to take a chance on somebody in your reserve round, or remember when he gets called up, it's Evan White. Those are the big guys. Those are the names that, and Justice Sheffield, well, he's not a minor leaguer, but he had a 4.13 ERA last year in AAA. And look at the juice ball in the Pacific Coast League. You can't even look at his numbers. He had a 27 home run to fly ball rate. Okay, so that's the juice ball and the Pacific Coast League. Justin Dunn, former relief pitcher with 4 pitches, got a very high ceiling. The problem is his command, you just don't know. Jake Fraley, 4 tools, 2020 potential. Jake Fraley, you could see him in the lineup on opening day. He's from LSU, big deal. Jake Fraley stole 22 out of 29 bases last year and hit 19 home runs. And I told you about Kyle Lewis, and that takes care of the Seattle Mariners. So Jake Fraley's the guy you want to take, and Matt Magill. I'm writing them down now. Fraley and Magill. I don't want to give away my picks, and stay away from those guys. Sincere thanks to everybody. Arnie coming up next. Losing my voice, so I'll get out of here. Ace Fraley, too. There you go. Oh, Malpal. I love this. Malpal, good morning. He thinks he picked Fraley. Yeah. Justin Dunn. You're right. Okay. Thank you, Arnie, coming up. Brooks, we're way ahead. Dale, thank you, kiddo. DK Lush, Doug Boyle, George, Gerald D. Good morning, Gerald D. Nakahoma is back. Michael Magid is back. Holy mackerel and malpal! Outlaw Seal, Ray K.